Good morning. Oh, we're a little late today, and I apologize. Oh, we had a technical difficulty called oversleeping. Called it's morning where I'm at, and I totally overslept. What's up, Chromatic Tree? Good to see you, my man. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, Joe. Howdy, howdy. Oh, sorry, we're a little late, you guys. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to everybody. Happy Friday, Joe. Happy Friday, everybody. So we're gonna open with a question like we did last time. Because you guys liked that, and you know what? I liked it too. So I'm gonna leave it up to you guys though. Do you guys want to go like kind of heavy? Or do you want to go kind of light? It's a Friday, so we can go either way. If you guys want to go heavy, I'm cool with it. I got a cup of coffee right here. If you guys want to go light, because like, come on, Ron, it's Friday. Let's take it a little easy with the question today. Because yesterday was a heavy one. Yesterday was a freaking heavy one. Yesterday we talked about green entering and how to handle that. And that's not an easy judgment call. A lot of you guys have Chromatic Tree votes heavy. All right, we got one vote for heavy. A lot of you guys brought up some good points for both sides. You guys brought up some good points for Dem entering. You brought up some good points for Dem exiting. It's not an easy judgment call. And I also tweeted it. I tweeted it out, and some people had some very interesting insight on Twitter as well. So, it's not an easy topic. And all right, and you know what? The consensus seems to be heavy. We have 27 on YouTube. Oh, we just reached 30 on YouTube, guys. The show has officially begun. Live Me, you're lagging a little bit behind. There's only 22 of you on Live Me. The tides are shifting. We're growing on the YouTube, which is beautiful. Staying strong on the Live Me. What's up, Kimmy? Good morning. Get your news on with Ron. Just want to know what's going on. We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Just want to know what's going on. We're getting our news on today. Tweet me an article at Ron Placone. Go through it together and make it our own. Get your news on with Ron. I want to know what's going on. Get your news on today. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys tweet me articles, and that's what we talk about. And we talk about topics, and we talk about the news, and we talk about what's going on in the world. And that's how we do it. I don't know what's going on in the world. I woke up late. I woke up at 9:45. I was on this stream by 10:10, got a cup of coffee, haven't had breakfast yet. And that's okay. But I don't have a clue what the hell's going on yet today. I haven't looked. I haven't looked since yesterday. Those videos that I posted earlier this morning, I scheduled those out. You think I was awake at 8 a.m. my time to post that? Of course not. I did it in advance. I am a night. This is my morning show. I live on the West Coast. It is 10 a.m. as far as, it's 10 a.m. here. Well, it's 10:13 now. This is morning. This is early morning. Waffles or pancakes? Waffles. And less of the flapjacks my girlfriend makes, because those are damn tasty. Did I hear about the bridge collapse in Florida? Yes, I did. I haven't super looked into it yet, so if anyone wants to tweet me something on that, we'll totally talk about that. But guys, you guys voted pretty much in unison that you liked the idea of starting out with a question for us all to ponder. You guys also voted that we go deep today. I was like, I have an idea, but it's kind of deep. And it's a Friday, so maybe if you want to go lighter, we can do that. You guys were like, no, man, let's go deep. Let's roll into the weekend deep AF. No one actually said that, but you guys voted deep. So we'll go deep. Here we go. I get emails from time to time, and I get comments on this channel, And sometimes the comments go straight to spam because you included like a bunch of web links and the algorithm reads it as a spam comment. And then I have to go in and try to approve it later, which, isn't always the easiest thing. And sometimes you approve it and it doesn't actually approve it because YouTube's a little finicky, et cetera, et cetera. But here's the deal. People have been trying to tell me in many different ways that Bernie is a sellout. Those are the verbiage they use. Bernie's a sellout. Ron, you need to recognize that Bernie's a sellout. So first of all, what does that mean? And second of all, do you think Bernie's a sellout? And if your answer is yes, because my answer is no, and we'll get into that. But if your answer is yes, okay, but explain to me why and explain to me how. And if your explanation is his account tweeted some Russiagate stuff and he said some Russiagate stuff on MSNBC, I would say, yeah, that's annoying, but I don't think that qualifies him as a sellout. And I say no, I say Bernie's not a sellout, and here's why. Because to me, by saying Bernie sold out, that would mean he, A, accepts corporate money that he said he wasn't accepting before. Which, I mean, unless you guys know something I don't, he has not done that. Or B, he's abandoned his platform, which he also has not done. He still stands for the same platform. So since he has done neither of those two things, I would not call Bernie a sellout. Has Bernie made mistakes? Of course. Has Bernie frustrated me? Yes. Will he do it again? Of course. He's a human. He's flawed, and he's trying to play the game. Do I wish that when I was in Washington, D.C. for the Convergence Conference, he would have been there, he would have accepted those signatures, and he would have been like, you know what? We're doing this. We're starting a new party. Yes, of course. Of course I wish he would have done that. And I'm sad that he didn't. And I'm disappointed. But he made a judgment call. He's playing some kind of three-dimensional chess. He said chess. Oh, I'm still waking up, guys. Come on. Chess. And so I wouldn't call him a sellout. He's made mistakes, of course. Bernie's not perfect. Nobody is. Nobody is. All right, so let's see what you guys think. Ron woke up late. Joe told everybody. Joe outed me. Jessica says, my answer is hell no, Bernie ain't no sellout. Andrew says, no, Bernie is not a sellout. Lady Vag says no, and the reason why is I think Bernie is playing a long game. 2018 Bernie is different than 2016 Bernie, no doubt about that. Frederick says, all right, so how is he different? In what way is he different? I mean, because here's the other thing. Some people, and so far I'm waiting for some people to say no. Let's see, or yes, he is, just so we can have some dissent. Joe says, I mean, he did get that expensive coat. That was a gift to him. That was also a gift to him from a family member that worked at the coat place. So it was probably not, Winkle, thank you so much for the star points. And thanks so much for hanging out last night. Winkle came to our show last night. It was our first political night. And hopefully the first of many. Dan says, Bernie saw what happened to Ralph Nader and never forgot it. He is convinced that breaking away from the Dems, they will destroy him. That's an interesting input, and I think you're probably right. What I would say to that, though, is Ralph Nader didn't start a movement the way Bernie did. Ralph Nader was never the most popular politician in the country like Bernie still is. So I see what you're saying, Dan, and I think you're right. I would just say if I could talk to Bernie, I'd be like, hey, Bernie, you got to recognize some differences here. Maybe Bernie's being humble. Maybe he's like, no, I'm no more popular than Ralph Nader. And I'd be like, no, you're like way more freaking popular, dude. If Ralph Nader walked by a group of school kids, the school kids would be like, who the hell is that? And that's even in his prime. Bernie, we saw what happened when Bernie Sanders walked by. He was treated like the freaking Beatles. Nader got the largest vote share for a third party in close to a century. I'm not trying to make fun of Ralph. Well, I am poking fun at Ralph Nader because I'm a comedian. That's what I do. I poke fun at people. I'm not trying to downplay Ralph Nader or how popular he is. I'm just saying he does not touch Bernie Sanders as far as what he's accomplished and the people he's mobilized. That's just, Sake, Nader, largest vote share for a third party in close to a century. That's awesome, and I applaud Nader for that, and I'm a fan of Nader. But I mean, even that fact alone, it's like you're basically saying, like, yeah, Ralph Nader did really good in a college basketball tournament. Well, Bernie almost overthrew the NBA. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I'm saying. Nader was no celebrity, exactly. Because he wrote a book about seatbelts. You can't be a celebrity if you write a book about seatbelts. You'll only ever be so cool. Right? So in 2016, I was a donor of Bernie and defended him even after they stole the primary from him. And Bernie says, I am a Russian troll. Yeah, I get it. That was frustrating to me too. That was annoying. And I was frustrated by that. Does that qualify him as a sellout, though? I don't think so. I think it means that Russia is slowing down. Oh, shit. Are we okay on the stream? Are you guys good? Can you see me okay? Irvin just points out that Russia is slowing down my connection, which I need to make a couple of phone calls if that's true. If Russia is slowing down, they must have mistook me for somebody else. My connection is supposed to be good. I am paid by Putin. You guys know me. I am Ron Placone. My favorite football player is from Russia, or my favorite hockey player is from Russia. Is my shirt brown? Yes, it is. That's a callback to yesterday where I admitted I am totally colorblind. But I'm not that guy. I know this shirt's brown. I know that. As far as my shirt from yesterday, was that green? Was it more like an aquamarine? It looks green to me, but I don't know. Like, there have been stuff where I'm like, yeah, that's such and such. And other people are like, no, Ron, it's not. I'm pretty sure I'm colorblind. But I think my colorblindness is to those types of colors. Like forest green, blues. That's where I'm kind of like, yeah, that's green. They're like, no, it's not. Have you ever told a girl or a guy or any romantic partner, have you ever told a romantic partner that their eyes were a different color than they were? Oh, dude, I've totally done that. I was seeing this girl and I was like, yeah, you have the prettiest green eyes. She's like, my eyes are blue. And I was like, snap. Yeah, this is, well, okay, I guess I'm digging out of this. I mean, what else am I going to do now? And, honestly, her eyes look green to me. Like they look, even as I just stared into them, I'm like, yep, still look green. She's like, you're colorblind. She didn't let me off the hook for being colorblind. I was like, I think I'm colorblind. Your eyes still look green to me. And then here was how I tried to save myself. I was like, baby, I know what color your eyes are. I stare at them enough. It didn't work. It failed miserably. Oh. Has anyone else ever done that? Have you ever told your partner you have the prettiest insert color eyes here? And then it's like, not the right. Is it just me? Maybe it's just me. Balthazar, thank you so much for the super chat contribution. Wait, are you saying that the monumental excitement of I believe that she can win in Clinton-Kane wasn't good enough to mobilize the people? That's another thing. All right, so getting back to our question, and then we'll get into some news articles. Yeah, Hillary Clinton's campaign was about as inspiring as watching wet paint dry. But here's the other thing. When Bernie, some people are like, well, Bernie's a sellout because he had to endorse Hillary. I'm like, he had to. Underline the words had to. He had to do that. He had no choice. He had to do that. And if you listen to him when he was stumping for Hillary and when he endorsed Hillary versus when he was speaking about what he wanted to do as president, I mean, it could have been an SNL sketch on its own if it wasn't so freaking depressing. When Bernie formally endorsed Hillary, he literally sounded as if somebody punched him in the stomach and twisted his arm and shoved him on stage and said, "Go do it. Screw you." You know what I mean? Like it literally went down that way. He sounded so uninspired and so broken. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember. It was so hard to watch. And he had no choice. He wouldn't have been able to run had he not agreed to do that. He had to agree to endorse whoever the nominee was. He had no choice. And he literally sounded like someone just punched him in the stomach before he walked out there. And it sucked. It freaking sucked. So I just don't think, I mean, you can't call him a sellout for that. Like, none of us would be here had he not run in the first place. Because you know what Bernie said to me? Bernie said, "Hey, you know how you only think there's a couple of you? There's a lot of you. And the heartland wants to agree with you. They just have to get the right messaging." That's why this whole incremental centrist nonsense, it's over. You don't know. Now's not the time for it. Now's not the time for it. The Democratic Party is where progressive issues go to die. Sanders is leading people there. That's his purpose. Okay. I mean, again, how did he sell out? David, tell me how he sold out. He's picking an approach that you disagree with. That, honestly, I don't know why he's going that way. I don't know why he didn't just start a third party. I don't know why we don't give more consideration to green entry. I don't know why. I mean, the Democrats, it seems like their first priority is beating progressives. And Bernie's trying to tell people, come join this club that doesn't want me to be a member. Come join this. I don't get it either. That doesn't mean he's a sellout. That means he's choosing a different approach than I think I would choose. And I don't have the peek under the hood that he has. Frederick says, you need the backbone and balls to not do that. So to not do something you're contractually obligated to do. To not take a risk. No, you know what you really need a backbone to do? You need a backbone to go up against one of the biggest political establishments ever in the history of our country by taking no corporate money and mobilizing a movement. That's what you need a backbone to do. And against all odds, almost winning it. And if the DNC hadn't cheated, probably winning it. And then you have to accept your twisted arm. Yeah, I mean, it sucked when he did that. But he had no choice. I mean, he had to. He had to. I mean, yeah, he could have gone against the grain. He could have been like, the DNC cheated. He could have done, I mean, easier said than done. And I think if you or I were in that shoes, that would have been a tough call to make. So Ernie says, Bernie completely changed after he met with Obama at the White House and after the California primary. How? What changed? Again, I'm not saying like you guys are totally wrong. I'm just saying like, give me something concrete to prove your point. And you know, I mean, I'm not trying to be a cheerleader for Bernie. I'm just saying I wouldn't call the guy a sellout. Has he disappointed me? Abso-freaking-lutely. Will he disappoint me again? Of course. But as far as the most viable politician that has a chance at winning, he's still it. He's still the dude that stands for the platform I want to see. That has the principles I want to see. Strategically, is he perfect? Of course not. That doesn't make him a sellout. That just makes him choosing a different approach than me. And he's had more years of experience in politics than I've been alive. So maybe, just maybe, I'm going to say I hope he's playing some kind of three-dimensional chess that I don't even understand yet, and we'll see what happens. I'm not going to call the guy a sellout. If that changes, if all of a sudden Bernie's like, you know what, single pay is not the way to go. We need a more incremental approach, and we need to just help the ACA. And by the way, I just made this big deal with Exxon. then he is a sellout. That is definitionally, then yes, Bernie sold out. Then Bernie mobilized the grassroots revolution, and he said, you know what? I found out a good payday, and I'm going to go here now. That's called being a sellout. Saying like, he should have just thumbed his nose at everything, but that's not a sellout. That's you saying you would have done things differently. And honestly, Convo Couch points out, I think we need to also take into account he is still a senator that had to go back to the Senate to govern. Playing ball was somewhat necessary. Valid point. Balthazar, thank you again. By the way, Convo Couch, Balthazar, thank you very much for your Super Chat contributions. I'm pretty sure it's purely because Dems and GOP control access to the debates. You don't think they'll raise the percentage to be on a debate and move the goalpost? Yeah, that's a fair concern. The Dems and the GOP will probably, they do everything they can to oust the anti-war candidates right away. And that's why they stifle third parties the way they do. In 2008, they did everything they could. They tweaked the rules to make sure Dennis Kucinich and Ralph Nader. Still waking up, you guys. Dennis Kucinich and Ron Paul got off that debate stage as soon as freaking possible. As soon as freaking possible. And that's something they'll continue to do. Balthazar also says, I think it will hit the fan at 2020 when they screw him again. He'll just give the giant middle finger to the Dems and win as a third party in a three-way race. Balthazar, I freaking hope so. I freaking hope so. I wish he would have said, you know what, Dems? Screw you. I'm starting a party, and we're going to be a great party. I don't know why I didn't do it again. But that doesn't mean I'm like, Bernie's a sellout and I hate him now. That means I don't know why I didn't do this. And it frustrates me that he didn't. But he's still the most viable candidate out there. I'm not looking for a candidate that's going to make me happy 100% of the time. I'm looking for a candidate that stands by the principles I'm about. And honestly, my quote-unquote purity test really isn't that hard. Single payer, don't take corporate money. Everything else, there's some wiggle. Anti-fracking. Those really aren't those hard. Because guess what? If you don't take corporate money, the rest of those will just kind of fall into place. I don't know any politician out there, and if you can find one, bring them to me. I don't know any politician out there that doesn't take corporate money and is pro-fracking. Why? Because anyone that's paid attention to science 1 iota knows that fracking's freaking bad. Why would you be for it anyway? Because you take money from oil and gas. So if you don't take money from oil and gas, guess what? You ain't going to be for fracking. You're going to be for other types of jobs. Green jobs, sustainable jobs, a jobs program, infrastructure. We just built a freaking bridge that collapsed. You know why? Because we don't put enough into infrastructure. All right. So let me get more to these chats because we got to start the actual show. This is why we got to expand the show, you guys. Now that we have a new format thing, which I'm really enjoying because you guys are awesome to talk to and you guys bring up some awesome points and you challenge my way of thinking. And I love that. So Ernie says, Ron, I think you misunderstood. I'm still pro Bernie. I meant he stopped talking about contesting the primary and kind of gave up. That is true. That is true. And again, I don't know. It's hard to weigh in on that. It's hard to, because we don't know everything. Like there's so much we're not privy to. There's so much that he was contractually obligated to do. It's one of those things. I think it was really up to us to, I think it was really up to us to really contest that. And we did, but it just wasn't enough because, people just kind of told us to shut up and get in line because Trump's evil. And a lot of people did, and that's totally okay. Some people didn't. Yeah, it's one of those things. WikiLeaks revealed this foul play to us, and we did what we could, but there was only so much we could do. And could Bernie have done more or not? That's tough to say. It is very hard to be where Bernie is, but when I saw the young people in Washington cheering him like the Beatles, I thought there's some hope left. Me too. It was very inspiring to see. Yeah, Bernie has been super disappointing lately. I'll still probably vote for him if he runs in 2020, though. Why doesn't Bernie fight against the election fraud and voter suppression that happened in 2016 instead of the Russia crap? First of all, I think that's a valid point. I was very disappointed. Whenever Bernie goes into Russiagate, I'm disappointed. Like I'll just put it right. I've tweeted about it. I've talked about it. However, I think that's an example of him playing the game a little bit for 2020's sake. I think that's what that is. And I can live with that. Because you know why? When it comes time for policy and putting your chin out, Bernie still freaking does it. Here's what I'm talking about. When it came time to vote on the sanctions, Bernie voted against the Russia sanctions because of the consequences for Iran. And he did that because that was what he believed to be right. Politically, that was not smart politically. And when I say political, I mean like as a whole, as a 2020 run. That's something that will be used to smear him later. But he did it anyway because he knew that was the right thing to do. He believed that was the right thing to do, and he freaking did it. So, Frederick, and I understand your point, and I'm totally with you, but, a response to that, to try to be fair, what's a bigger thing? Sticking your chin out when it comes time to vote, or sending some tweets that are a little frustrating to read? I'd rather have the latter. I'd rather have somebody, first of all, it wasn't even his personal account, it was his campaign account that he had to turn over. He had to turn that account over. And yes, he said some things on MSNBC that were very frustrating. Again, it was frustrating, but I get how he's playing the game, and I get how he's surrounding himself with some insider people to play the game. And maybe some of the advice they give him isn't always the best. I mean, but when it comes to the big nucleus things, he's still there. So that's why I'm like, I don't think he's not perfect. Is he a sellout? I would say no. And yes, the Russia stuff is very frustrating. Did DNC ever have to turn over the server? Not to my knowledge, no. To my knowledge, they never did. James says, I'm not giving up on Bernie. I'm not either, yeah, I'm certainly not either. If he ran in 2020, he'd, of course, have my vote. DC points out there is no viable third-party option, so the two private parties will not allow it. And sadly, that's the truth. And that's what the question was about green entering. We had our question about green entering. Ron's standards are low. What are your standards, Mike? Tell me what your standards are. What are your standards? I want to hear it since mine are so low. If my standards are so low, why do so few politicians in this country pass them? Why do so few politicians meet them? If my standards are so low. And I think a lot of people have the same standards as me, so I guess you feel like a lot of people. Bernie rolled over like a well-trained dog at the convention. That's real tough guy talk, Mike. You're very tough, and you're very pure, and you're certainly a man of integrity, and all of us grovel at you. But he did what he contractually had to do. Had Bernie not run, had Bernie, someone who stands by his principles, is that your response to my question? Those are your standards. How has Bernie not stood by his principles? How does doing something he contractually had to do? He had no choice in the matter. He had to do that, or he couldn't have run in the first place. Had he not run in the first place, there's a good chance none of us would be here. There's a good chance this movement wouldn't be going on. Because again, what Bernie did, Bernie said to people like me, you ain't alone. There's more of you than you realize. Someone had to do that. Bernie freaking did it. Someone had to do it. I wasn't going to do it. I wouldn't have known how. Bernie did it. Bernie did it. You didn't do it, Mike. You didn't do it, Mike. You have your great high standards, but you didn't do that. I didn't do that. No one else on this stream did it. Bernie did. That's what Bernie did. So no acting like scorned lovers because you didn't agree 100. Yeah, don't act like a scorned lover because you. Bernie also said he isn't our savior. We have to save ourselves. That's right. And that's kind of similar to some Hold Steady lyrics, so I freaking like it. Good point, Winkle. So again, Bernie's not perfect. And yeah, it was painful to watch him tell Mike Bernie's ideals are still blinding him, only flaw. Bernie's ideals are still blinding him, and that's his only flaw? All right. I mean, maybe. I don't know. So, I gotcha. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, does Bernie still support single payer? Yes. Does Bernie still support free college? Yes. Is Bernie still fighting for all those policies? Yes. Is Bernie doing his job as a senator when he has to and playing the game when he has to? Yes. Does that make him a sellout? To some of you, I guess it does. To me, it doesn't. If Bernie starts taking money from oil and gas, comes out in favor of drilling, comes out against single payer, then Bernie's a sellout. He hasn't done any of those things. He hasn't done any of those things. So, Mike, you want someone who stands by their principles. Explain to me how Bernie hasn't. And if all you got is, well, he did something he contractually had to do, where he had no choice in the matter. He sounded like he wanted to cry while he was doing it. He sounded like someone just punched him in the stomach while he was doing it. He was in a position that nobody envied. Bernie's flaw is he still thinks he can save what can't be. Maybe. You might be right. We'll see. Because, again, I wish he would have started that third party. I wish more than anything he would have done that. Not more than anything, but I really wish he would have done that. Winkle points out, Howard Dean, there's a progressive that totally sold out. Yes. Howard Dean completely sold out. He used to be part of the Democratic wing of the Democratic Party. Then he started taking some big money and he got his mind right. He promotes single payer one day. He's a health insurance lobbyist the next day. Yeah, you want an example of a sellout? Howard Dean's a sellout. Howard Dean is a sellout. Hillary Clinton is a sellout. Look at what she used to say about healthcare back when her husband was president. Then all of a sudden, some big pharma checks came in. What did she say about healthcare on the campaign trail? Universal healthcare will never come to pass. You want stuff the rest of the world takes for granted. You just want a pony. But yeah, I guess my standards are low. And so, hey, and I can't see the rest of the YouTube chat because I think Pasta is busy doing something. So I don't have the rest of the YouTube chat at my disposal now. So, guys, I guess to some of us, Bernie's a sellout. Even though, I'll be honest, no one's given me a good reason why. I'm just being real with you. You guys have given some valid critiques that I share. But to me, what makes someone a sellout is when they compromise on the policies that got them popular in the first place to bend to the will of donors. And Bernie's done none of those things. As of the recording of this, might he do it someday? Maybe. I don't know. I hope not. I feel like he would have done it by now. The guy's been in politics for a long freaking time. If Bernie was going to sell out, he would have done it a long time ago. But he didn't. So, no, I wouldn't call Bernie a sellout. A flawed human? Abso-freaking-lutely. Somebody who has made compromises to play the game to get where he's at? Abso-freaking-lutely. But a sellout? I don't think so. Do you think Trump sold out to the war profiteers, a.k.a. Dems GOP? Yeah, of course. Trump is, there's no question. Trump's a shady oligarch benefiting from our capitalist society. Did anyone really think he was going to actually change any of that? Yes, some people did. And they got duped by a snake oil salesman. And that's okay. It happens. It freaking happens. All right, we really got to get to some news articles because the show is almost freaking over. But this was a good discussion. All right, so I've been curious about this article. This is from DC. We're going to start here, and unfortunately, we're probably not going to get to a lot of articles today. All right, so a Green Party candidate on here. We'll do a couple more chats before we pause this back. So I'm seeing some more chats now. If it was not for Bernie, I would not have found Jimmy's show, yours, Tim Black, etc. I think he changed the conversation in the country in many ways, i.e. Medicare. Ernie points that out. Denise says, Ron Placone, do you agree with all the narrative that MSM around the world is pushing, meaning Russia, Russia, Russia? Are we heading into World War III? That's what I get out of it. No, of course I don't agree with that narrative, Denise. I mean, it's very. This has remnants of weapons of mass destruction all over again. It really does. And I'm not saying that, in the case of the nerve attack in the UK, I'm not saying Russia's innocent. I don't know. We don't know yet. But they shot first and aimed later. And other places in the world agrees. And this is, I saw a news segment with Brian Williams, who, masturbates to missiles and never met a war that he didn't like, and Malcolm Nance, who I don't think there's anybody on the planet that loves war more than that guy. And that guy's a hero of the quote-unquote fake left, even though by his own admission, he is a Colin Powell Republican. That's how he defines himself. And Bill Maher wets himself over that guy. And, the Mick resistance wets themselves over that guy. Why? Because he doesn't like Trump. And he is the leader of Russiagate, basically. I saw a conversation between those two. And they were talking about the nerve attack in the UK. And they were like, yeah, this is something that's made in Russia. Malcolm Nance, he was like, I am 100%. This was definitely Russia. No doubts in my mind. He talked about the specific gas. And he said, yeah, and there's a good chance it's going to be snuck into this country. And Brian Williams was like, how easy is it to sneak into this country? He's like, oh, very easy. And the way they'll sneak it in is they'll bring it in on a plane. And it'll be like a carry-on. Remember when we were sure Iraq had weapons of mass destruction and we were scared of anthrax getting into our country from the terrorists, and we were so sure that they were going to get it in by any means necessary. And now look at what it's like when we go to a freaking airport. And Malcolm Nance, a defense professional who thinks in terms of the economy of war, who thinks in terms of defense and knows nothing else, is now saying they're going to sneak it in on our planes. And that's how they're going to do it. We are reaching a point where it is going to be, we're not allowed carry-ons at all. We are going to get to that point. We're going to get to that point where all checked bags are going to be inspected, no exceptions. We're going to get to that point. And it's because this is the same thing. It's the same thing as the anthrax scare. Now they're like, they're for sure going to get this weapon into our country, and here's how they'll do it. It'll just be some random person on a plane. I mean, and I'm not saying that there some amount of security is not necessary. I'm not that naive. I understand that there's evil in the world. I get that. That doesn't mean we need to spend 8 times as much as anybody else in all other countries combined on our military. And because of that, we don't have things like healthcare and educational opportunities. So no, to answer your question, Dennis, I don't agree with that. And I see the cyclical effects of this hysteria. And, even if Russia is guilty and we find out for sure that they're behind what happened in the UK, let's respond rationally. Even if they are guilty, why would you ban a media outlet? What does that have to do with anything? Why are you expelling diplomats? What does that have? Why wouldn't that make things worse? Why are you escalating? I mean, This is hysteria, and there's a difference. All right, so here's the article that DC sent. Green Party candidate for U.S. Senate was once a paid GOP operative. And the article's not loading. All right. Cool. All right, so we're going to try to find an article that actually loads. And this is for sure not annoying when an article doesn't load. It's definitely the least annoying thing I can think of. All right, so this is an ad. All right, I'm going to kill this article and try to find a new one. Let me see if just clicking the link. Here we go. All right, now all of a sudden it loaded. All right, so this Green Party candidate for U.S. Senate was once a paid GOP operative. As the clock was running out for candidates to get their name on the ballot for what's expecting to be a hotly contested U.S. Senate race, Tim Adams, a man previously paid by the state Republican Party and who donated to Republican candidates as recently as 2016, filed to run as a member of the Green Party. The Green Party was only approved to appear on the ballots Monday morning, just hours before the 5 p.m. filing deadline. Some question whether Adams, who is running for the U.S. Senate, is really a Green Party member or got into the race to siphon votes away from the Democrat. People are asking that question. Tim Adams is no Green Party candidate. He has a long history of conservative activism. It's curious that he has announced a candidacy, and it's curious that it happened on the last day. He cited suggestions that Democrats tried to take votes away from Republicans by having Becky Shaw, former aide to Democratic U.S. Senator Max Baucus, run as a Reform Party candidate against Republican Denny Remberg in 1996. The race for Senate is expected to be the most watched and intense contest in Montana this election cycle. Although Trump won Montana, a poll released by the university said 41% said Trump's doing a bad job. And I'm pretty sure John Tester, so here's a little bit more about this guy. He was paid by the Republican committee between 2013 and 2015. In 2012, he filed to run as a libertarian. So it looks like this is just a guy that, all right, so here's his claim. He says that a lot of issues I've been involved with previously are right in with the Green Party. The Green Party is by far one of the best parties, as having a long track record of supporting LGBT issues. Adams said he hasn't had much contact with members of the Green Party, but he has been in contact in an issue capacity. Breck said he doesn't begrudge anyone for running as a Green or changing party affiliations. We are the Green Party, and we are a progressive party, and we're new and grassroots. I believe it's everybody's right in a democracy as citizens to change their idealism. We should always reconsider our stances as we do new things. I would hate to assume Tim Adams or John Gibney are not Greens. We're vetting them. We're talking to them. We're asking them to publicly commit to the platform. All right. And this will be used as a way to demonize third parties, of course. Yeah, I got it to load, DC. So we're good. Well, what are you guys' thoughts on this? I mean, I think that, is this guy maybe just kind of one of those political uprisers that's, you know, just trying to help Republicans? Possibly. Yeah, it's possible. Wouldn't it be better if we had a system where stuff like that wasn't possible because third parties were actually viable? Wouldn't it be, wouldn't that be great if we had a strong party? Because I refuse to recognize that there's only, first of all, I'm pretty sure this Tester guy is one of the Democrats that's typically on the wrong side of everything. Or wait, no. I might be thinking of someone else. Actually, he might have been the one that really helped out net neutrality. Yeah, I think he might have been one of the ones. Let me Google that. I don't want to misspeak on that. I want to make sure I'm representing John Tester the right way. So let's go to his website. I think he was the guy that really helped out for net neutrality. Issues. Here we go. Let's see what he stands on healthcare. All right, so it doesn't look like he's for single payer. All right, so anyway, it doesn't. Let's see how he stands on campaign finance before we move on here. Guys, we are almost out of time. We got to literally one article. All right, so he's for some campaign finance reform. All right, so anyway, regardless of how you feel about him one way or the other, because I think he did something good on net neutrality, which is a good thing, but overall, I don't think he's all that much of a progressive. So I think that, yeah, democracy is not limited to two people and two parties. So, you know, if this guy is running as a Green for all the wrong reasons, that's a shame. But he still has the right to do it. And I would rather strengthen additional parties than wag your finger at people for trying to run. And I think this is for instance, the Democratic establishment is going to take this and run with this, and they're going to try to. In fact, somebody cited this article when we were talking about. Somebody cited this article when they were talking about should we join the Greens, and they were saying, "Well, the Greens are just a Republican front." Of course, they're not. That's not true. Is this guy somebody that's maybe playing the game? Yeah, he's run as a libertarian before. He's run as. Why are people calling them libertarians? Why wouldn't they say the same thing about the libertarians? Why would they not be doing that? Avoiding the Russia story. No, I'm not. What am I avoiding? The BBC just put out a documentary on Venezuela and is some propaganda to start war, Frosty Bucket says. All right, I'll have to check that out. But Ron, we have to have readiness. We need to rebuild the military. Yes, they're not strong enough. Oz says Howard Dean is the prime example of a scumbag sellout. The Green Party is 17 years old. They are not new. That is true. Zeb, thank you so much for the super chat contribution. Zach Rengelstein is running as a progressive against Angus King in Maine. I'm not familiar with that race, but somebody please send me some stuff so I can familiarize myself more with it. So yeah, is this Adam guy maybe just like one of those conservative actors that kind of just does what they can to disrupt the system and help Republicans? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe he's evolved. I mean, but even if he is, does that give you a license to demonize the Green Party? No. No, it doesn't. Instead of demonizing a party and demonizing progressives, first of all, why aren't you demonizing the libertarians too? People have used this as a way to demonize the Greens. Well, this guy ran as a libertarian too. Why aren't people demonizing that? And that's the thing. What Republicans do, Republicans don't spend their time demonizing libertarians. Instead, they go and they get votes. That's what they do. Democrats don't do that. That filing with the Libertarian Party was special because I wanted to make a point about a legislator about a specific vote in a specific issue. Sake, I missed your suit. Hey, Pasta, can you send me Sake's super chat?
Gotcha.
Thanks, buddy. So he says that a lot of issues that he's been involved with are right in line with the Green Party, but he doesn't really give an example. He says that they're by far one of the best parties, as having a long track record of supporting LGBT issues. So I guess he's in favor of that, which is great. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. But here's the thing. They're using this to say, oh, the Greens are just a front for Republicans. But no, that's not what's going on here. This is a one for instance, and John Tester should go and earn those votes. Go and earn those votes. Democracy is not limited to two parties. And we need to strengthen third parties, not demonize them. That's what I think. So, you know, Balthazar says, is Mitch McConnell a sellout? Ha, because he looks like a turtle. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. All right, let's go to one more thing. We only have time for one. Somebody's drilling my house. Somebody's drilling down my house. This is scary. Jess says, tried to get your attention on the YouTube a couple times, but did you know that without Ralph Nader, we wouldn't have the EPA? Nader forced Nixon to form the EPA via executive order, so please never claim Nader is powerless. He's a freaking hero. Nader is powerless, a sentence I never said until reading your tweet just now. Nader is powerless, a sentence I'm pretty sure I did not say. I said he's not a celebrity like Bernie Sanders. I said he doesn't have the amount of popularity ever that Bernie Sanders has had. And I even pointed out, I'm not trying to downplay him. I'm just saying there's a difference between Bernie not wanting to end up like Ralph Nader, quote unquote. These are two different contemporary events in our society. Ralph Nader never had the clout Bernie Sanders did as far as being the most popular politician in the country. Ralph Nader is powerless, a sentence I never said. Pretty sure that's a sentence I never said. So, Jess, you make a very good point. I'm a Ralph Nader fan. I never wasn't. I was just trying to explain the difference between where Bernie's at popularity-wise and where Nader was at popularity-wise. And that's all I was saying. Was I poking fun at him? Yeah, I was, because I'm a comedian, and that's what I freaking do. Somebody's even used Ralph Nader to poke fun at me before. One time I was in a roast, and somebody roasted me, and they said, so Sake, Pasta doesn't see your super chat. He's saying there's no super chat from you, Sake. He's not seeing it. And he is the chat moderator, El Grande, because he's the only chat moderator. I have one. But I apologize. Just if you want to just write it, I'll read it. Just write it in the live me, and I'll totally read it. Let's see here. Let's get to one more article before we sign off. All right, we'll go to this one. And this was also a DC send-in. I'm just going in order here. And guys, we are not going to get to most of your articles today, and I am sorry. And the stream's getting kind of choppy, and I'm sorry about that too. Cyber attacks put Russian fingers on the switch at power plants, the U.S. says. The Trump administration accused Russia on Thursday of engineering a series of cyber attacks that targeted American and European nuclear power plants and water and electrical systems and could have sabotaged or shut power plants off at will. United States officials and private security firms saw the attacks as a signal by Moscow that it would disrupt the West's critical facilities in the events of a conflict. They said the strikes accelerated in late 2015 at the same time the Russian interference in the U.S.-American election was underway. In the following months, according to a Department of Homeland Security report issued on Thursday, Russian hackers made their way to machines with access to critical control systems at power plants that were not identified. The hackers never went so far as to sabotage or shut down the computer systems that guide the operations of the plants. So this is from March 15th. So this is a new accusation. So it's weird that, you know, and I'm not an expert on hacking, obviously, but why would you hack some kind of big computer system if you planned on doing nothing? Is that a fair question to ask? Like, why why would you do that if you were planning on doing nothing? The groups that conducted the energy attacks, which are linked to Russian intelligence agencies, appear to be different from the two hacking groups that were involved in the election interference. That would suggest that at least 3 separate Russian cyber operations were underway simultaneously. One of the 3, by the way, was making Rainbow Bernie ab memes. That's what one of the 3 was doing. I just tweeted you what Julian Assange said. Go look. I'll go look at it. Let's see. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing a tweet from Julian Assange. Yeah, I'm not seeing a Julian Assange tweet. Derek points out it's funny how Russia became a real villain only after it came in to save Syria. Yeah. Yeah. Again, I'm not just going to take something hook, line, and sinker because one of the intelligence agencies said so. Because these intelligence agencies were sure that there were weapons of mass destruction. These intelligence agencies were sure there was some big collusion plot. All of a sudden, that big collusion plot turned into interference. And after a year and a half, what's the evidence that we have? 13 Twitter trolls. And again, you have to really look at the language here. Now, I'm not saying that Russia is behind this attack or not. I'm saying I'm going to wait for something a little more concrete than just this New York Times article. Russian hackers made their way to machines with access to critical control systems. The hackers never did anything. I guess they just broke in. And these guys were not connected to the other intelligence agencies that apparently did the quote-unquote election interference. Forensic analysts suggested that Russian spies were looking for inroads. What the hell does that mean? What does that even mean? Again, you have to read this. Well, they're not affiliated with the other intelligence agencies, which means there are multiple intelligence agencies. Like, do you see how maybe this is just a bunch of bullshit? Do you see how you need to really read between the lines before you cast judgment? Because these intelligence agencies are concerned with one thing, just making sure we're in endless war. That's what they want. Also, Kimmy points out, he said this is common and well known. Why the big deal now? Yeah, Russia's a big old country. I'm sure there's plenty of cyber criminals in Russia, just like there's cyber criminals in the United States, in every other country. DC points out, if you cry wolf, this is what you get if you are telling the truth. That's a good slippery slope to point out here. You know, they've been crying wolf so much that, you know, if there ever was something relevant, a lot of us are going to be very slow to crawl to it. A lot of us are, because I'm slow. And DC points out the trick to the New York Times is read the last paragraphs. Exactly. All right, so let's read the last couple paragraphs. It is unclear that their perceived benefit would be causing damage on U.S. soil. Oh, wait, here we go. Let's start here. I'm sorry. Russia certainly has the technical capability to do damage, as it demonstrated in the UK, said Eric Cornelius, a cybersecurity expert at Cylance, a private security firm who previously assessed critical infrastructure threats. It is unclear what their perceived benefit would be from causing damage on U.S. soil, especially given the retaliation it would provoke. Though a major step towards deterrence, public naming countries accused of cyber attacks still isn't unlikely to shame them into stopping. The United States is struggling to come up with appropriate responses. Lieutenant General Paul Nakasone, who has been nominated as director of the NSA and commander of the U.S. Cyber Command, the military cyber unit, said during a Senate confirmation hearing this month that the countries attacking the United States so far have little to worry about. I would say right now they do not think much will happen to them. He later added they don't fear us, which is a little bit of fear-mongering language at the end there. But to sum that up in layman's language, this is kind of regular stuff that happens all the time all over the world. That's pretty much what they're saying. DC, would you agree with that? That's more or less. So again, what the New York Times and other corporate media outlets do is they hyperbolize and sensationalize a headline. And then when you read down below, just like all the stuff, they're just be like, yeah, we have this. So it was definitely a cyber hack that happened here, here, and here. And then you read a couple paragraphs down and it says, we actually don't have any evidence that this is for sure the case yet. That's why people have gotten fired over Russiagate. That's why CNN has had to fire people, because their propaganda was so poorly crafted that they got caught. DC says, yes, I agree with that, but Rachel Maddow would disagree. Of course. Of course. Because she's getting paid a lot of money to continue this Russiagate hysteria indefinitely. So apparently they hacked some kind of power grid. Again, this is resurfacing again, but they didn't do anything. And by the way, this is regular stuff that happens all the time, but we're talking about it now because we're going to try to keep this going as long as we possibly can. Guys, we are totally out of time. Thank you for sharing that, DC. Let me read Sake. All of this is more plausible than HRC being a bad candidate. Come on. Thank you, Sake. Exactly. Exactly. It's everything else. Guys, thank you so much for bearing with me through the late start time. Through the late start time. And through everything. Guys, I have so much fun doing this. You guys are so awesome. Your input is so great. You challenge my way of thinking. Even if I don't fully agree with you, you still challenge my way of thinking. You still bring up issues that we all need to think deeper about. If I do agree with you, you still challenge me. Y'all challenge me. Daylight savings, a hear no evil thing. Forever voting third party. I've asked you, I think 4 times now, to explain that to me a little more, and you haven't. And by all means, like seriously, help me explain it. I've only lived in California for 2 years. So I just don't fully understand why that's such a pressing issue, and I need you to explain it to me. There is no other way for me to get information. I know people have talked about this information highway, where if you type something into a search engine, I don't know what these search engines are, but apparently if you type information into them, they will give you a bunch of information. I've never heard of this. I don't know what this is. I wish there was some other way I could possibly get information, but I can't. I need you to tell me. No, for real. I seriously, I want to look more into the daylight savings thing. I brought it up to guests when you've brought it up, and it's just not kind of an issue on the top of their priority list because of other things like people dying without access to healthcare and unbearable student loan debt and money in politics, and the fact that our 2-party duopoly is really just one party, and it's the money party, and that the powers that be have really got us by the gullet. Man, I feel like all those are a little bit higher than daylight savings time, but you know, explain it to me. Because I have a feeling if I Googled why is daylight savings time in California more important than people dying on the streets without health care, I don't know what kind of results will pop up. But seriously, explain it to me. It's something I want to learn more about. It's something I'm not super privy to. We are totally out of time. I love you all very much. You guys make this so much fun. I have so much freaking fun doing this. If you guys are having as much fun as I am, then we're on to something really cool, I think. Because I'm having a lot of fun. If you guys sent any chats recently that I missed, and Frederick points out the U.S. is in Syria because Saudi Arabia wants a pipeline across it, and Russia's in Syria because they don't want Saudi Arabia to have a pipeline. Once again, it's all about oil. Guys, have an absolutely wonderful weekend. It is my girlfriend's birthday this weekend, so I am going to Sedona, Arizona with her, and we are going to go hiking. So I'm real excited about that. I'm real excited to spend some time with her. We're having a dinner for her tonight. So you know, she doesn't watch this show. Otherwise, I'd be like, happy birthday. But, you know, she she has a regular person job. She doesn't get to watch the show at work. So, you know, but I'm really excited about that. I love you all very much. You guys help keep me sane throughout this crazy world of ours. We have, and thank you so much for sending the birthday wishes to my girlfriend. I will let her know. But you guys help keep me sane with this. I hope I do the same for you. And I hope you guys have fun with this because I'm having a blast. Bluebell says, I guess Russia is the reason Puerto Rico doesn't have power yet. They've accused Russia of hacking the power grid before, and it turned out to be a false accusation. Free speech points out, yes, that is true. It was false once before. So I guess we'll see if it's totally false again this time. Guys, thank you for being awesome. Thank you for helping me out. Saki says, I thought Lucy was your significant other. She's my fur baby. Big difference. I really do have to go. I love you all very much. Thanks for keeping me sane. This has been Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. I really want to expand this show because we got to literally about an eighth of what you guys sent in today. And why do we do that? Well, because now we start out the streams with a question and we discuss it. And today we had a pretty heavy question. We talked about Bernie. You guys had some really interesting points. I hope you found my take interesting as well. And we had a really cool discussion because you guys are all really cool people with really cool insights. And you challenged me and you helped me evolve. And I thank you so much for doing that. And I hope this show does the same for some of you guys. I really do, because there's a lot of bright people that watch this show. And that's very humbling to me because I think a lot of you are way freaking smarter than I am. All I am is the orchestrator. Like, that's really all I do. And I don't even do that alone. Joe and Pasta help me. But that's how this show works. And thank you so much for making it a priority. It means the world. How can you help this show more if you are so able? And how can you help it expand? Become a patron. Guys, my Patreon has a pay what you can level. You can give it whatever level you're comfortable with, and you will get content every Wednesday and Sunday. You will get exclusive videos, exclusive podcasts, exclusive writings. My cat Lucy writes dialogues. They're a blast. You will also get free tickets to any of my shows when I'm in your town. Or if you're in my town and I have a show, you get to go for free. Winkle just came last night to a show for free. He had a great time. And I do a monthly political comedy show here in LA now. So that's really fun. So guys, if you are able, patreon.com/Ron Placone. Follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone. That's where you can tweet articles. RonPlacone.com. Me and Graham Elwood are announcing more tour dates by the day. I'm also announcing some more dates with the Jimmy Dore Show and some more solo dates. So please check out RonPlacone.com for all my tour dates. Got a lot coming up. I love you all very much. I will see you all very soon. Have a wonderful weekend. Get your news on with Ron. If you want to know what's going on, we're getting our news on today. Tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your news on with Ron. If you want to know what's going on, getting our news on today. Timmy, a little birdie told me that we're coming to San Francisco real soon. Don't have a formal announcement yet, but a little birdie told me that we're coming. I love you all very much. We do this every Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will see you guys on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Until then, stay safe in this crazy world of ours. I love you very much. Have a great weekend.